We are going to start out by talking about depressing stuff, but I promise it will get a lot better very quickly. So just stay with me for a minute. As I'm recording this, it's like the third week of January. It's been cold for so long. It feels like there's never going to be a break in the weather. I think yesterday, the real feel, wind chill, whatever you call it, was like 3 degrees when I woke up at about 5 o'clock in the morning. So it's been kind of brutal. It made me start thinking about the fact that seasonal affective disorder, seasonal depression, that stuff is real. No matter what anybody says, there's something very, very real about the long, dark winters having a profound effect on some people. And the reason that I know that is from experience. It's something that I used to feel every single year. Some winters, of course, were better than others and worse than others. But I absolutely know what it feels like to wake up in the middle of winter and just wish that, be willing to give every penny in the bank to be able to cover your head up and just pretend the day wasn't even happening, because you just didn't want to face another day of cold and dreary, etc. And this might sound crazy to some of you, but I also know that some of you are going to understand this. I would actually even start dreading winter in the summer. I would start thinking about, okay, yay, summer's coming, it's getting hot out, blah, blah, blah. And then my thoughts would start turning toward, okay, but after that comes fall, and then after that comes winter again. And I know that sounds crazy. I sound like a complete lunatic. But I know I'm not the only person. That's how much I would dread winter every year. But of course, I began to just really pray about it, really seek the Lord about it, because you can't convince me that that is the way that a Christian should live. And we are called to be free. And that means free of the things that oppress us and free of the things that are difficult mentally or physically or what have you. And I'm not saying all of life should be baby ducks and rainbows. I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying that when we struggle with things, we can absolutely always bring it to the Lord. And that's what I did. And I was like, Lord, this is so difficult. It even steals my joy from my favorite season, which is summer. And I love spring. I love fall. I think fall is exquisite, but I couldn't enjoy it. And so I really began to seek the Lord about what can we do here? Help me with this. Help me with this. And then I kind of stumbled across a scripture that I should have looked up before I sat down in this chair, but I will put it on the screen. But it very simply talks about the fact that the Lord made all the seasons. He created all the seasons, and therefore, every season, it stands to reason, I made a rhyme, should contain things that we can find beauty in. We should be able to see Him in every season. We should be able to find good in every season, if that makes sense. And so I was convinced that winter should be no different, and I needed to find God in the winter. And so shortly thereafter, I found a book. It was about 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago at the most. And I found this book about a concept called, and I'm going to mispronounce this probably many times, hygge. Yes, hygge. Something like that. You would think by now I would be able to pronounce it, because I have just fallen in love with this idea, with this practice. I don't know. I mean, it's not like yoga or something, but let me explain. Hygge is a Danish concept, and I guess, long story short, there are these places that have done these studies about the happiest people on earth and where do they live, blah, blah, blah. And surprisingly, one of the happiest groups of people supposedly are the Danes, but they live in a country that's very cold, very windy, just really bitter. They see a lot of ice, a lot of all that. And so this guy started wondering, okay, what's that about? and he started looking into this concept of hygge. And I'm really going to give you the short explanation today, and I might come back and do another video like this, but for right now I just want to get it out there because we're in the middle of the worst of winter, and if this video can help one person, I will be so happy. But anyway, this little book, it explains the concept of hygge, and if I had to summarize what it really is, I'd say it's leaning into the fact that winter is kind of designed for hibernation, and things like, the plants kind of shutting down and things going dormant and the pace of life really slowing down. I mean, think about it. There are animals that go to sleep, essentially go to sleep for months. Winter, by God's design, brings with it slowing down and peace and curling up around a heat source and reduced activity and being inside, someplace safe and warm, many more hours than you would normally be, in the summer and spring and all that. And so when you embrace hygge, you're kind of accepting that winter will carry with it this need to slow down and to curl up, maybe with a good book, and to bring things into your home that communicate or make you feel warm and comfortable. It involves things like more time with family, more time with friends. It can involve more comfort food. I mean, it sounds silly to say that there's a season when you really need to cut yourself a break and just enjoy more chocolate, but I absolutely believe it now. I firmly believe it now. And 99.9% of Americans, I think, already enjoy hygge or try to incorporate hygge into their lives to a certain extent. They just don't know what to call it. Like, think about it. So many people enjoy the holiday season, the Christmas season. But then once it's over, it can be such a letdown. But think about what we do around Christmas. Decorating your home with things that are twinkly and sparkly, with prettier lighting, like bringing out your candles. We do that for Christmas, or most people do that for Christmas. But people who embrace hygge, like myself, will start bringing out candles in early fall, because just preparing for the cold weather. Sometimes around Christmas we might buy new pajamas or mittens and gloves and things like that. But when you embrace hygge, you do that simply because you're getting ready again for the cold season, and you want to be able to stay warm. You want to be comfortable and cozy. This whole idea of cozy, that is totally hygge. So there are many different aspects to hygge. It involves the food that you eat. It involves definitely the clothing that you wear. That's extremely important. It can involve the way that you decorate your house. It can involve the colors that you use in your house. And I'll explain this in a minute, but I pull a lot of white into my house in amongst all the beautiful colors that I like. I always make sure to have a lot of white, and there's a reason for that I'll explain in a minute. Hygge will definitely involve the sort of things that you do for rest and relaxation. I get so much book reading done in the winter now, and so much of the beauty of hygge is actually giving yourself permission to do all these things, because of course in our society we put so much value on always staying busy and just doing. So it's really important, if you want to bring hygge into your life and into your winters, you definitely have to give yourself permission to go slower and to understand that this is part of it by God's design. It is not a sign of you being suddenly unproductive or lazy or a complete slob or anything like that. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with you falling into the rhythms of this particular season as designed by the Lord. And I'm not saying this is some kind of a magic cure. I'm not saying that at all, but I can 100% tell you that I do not suffer from seasonal depression at all anymore. At all. It's just gone. And it's not that I never look forward to spring. This past week with these single-digit temperatures, yes, I am thinking about spring. Just the other day I was thinking about, oh, I remember what it felt like to go out into my backyard, because somebody mows my front yard, but I mow my backyard with one of those old-fashioned push mower things that turns. And I was thinking about, oh, I can't wait until I can do that again. So, of course, it's not that you will never think fondly about spring ever again. But if you have experienced depression, you know what I'm talking about. I don't have to explain it. It's just awful. Depression is awful. And I can 100% say that my winters are completely different. The first thing I did was I allowed myself to spend a little bit of money on things like appropriate clothing and home decor. And here's the reason. Okay, when it comes to clothing, of course, if you're cold, you're miserable, or that's how I am. I can't stand to be cold. I cannot stand it. It feels like physical pain. Literally, for me to be cold feels like physical pain. And I think I just get cold very, very quickly. So, like I said, the first thing I did is I granted myself permission to just spend a little bit more on the proper clothing. And I did things like I got extra fuzzy socks. I got insulated pants for being outside. I bought extra layers, like the workout legging things that most women work out in. Well, I own plenty of those, but I use them as layers under my jeans, under my pants, and layers on top. Plenty of long sleeve shirts and things that work well as layers. I even found cute winter hats that have the thing for the ponytail, for long hair, things like earmuffs, the kind of scarves and guards that you wear on your face. So if you are walking or running or something outside, that the cold air doesn't have to kill you. I invested in some of those. So that's the first thing I did, is I made sure that I could be warm, whether I was in my house or whether I stepped outside, that I was prepared for the elements no matter what they were. Then another thing that I did is I really spent some time on my house, and I really spent some time thinking about, okay, what makes me feel warm and cozy? What makes me really enjoy being indoors, since winter involves a lot more indoor time? What do I really like and why? Sometimes you just need to ask yourself why. So one thing I discovered very quickly is that fake white fur, and this might sound silly, but fake white fur, white blankets, white sheets, white pillows, those things make me think of snow. They make me feel like cozy at the same time as feeling like I'm surrounded by snow. So I invested in things like that were white, that were fuzzy, furry, soft, all of that great stuff, and just kind of mixed it in with the colors that I use in my house in the first place. So if you come to my house, you're going to see stuff like, instead of closet doors, you'll see this sort of thing, where in front of my closets, you're going to see panels, can't reach it, you're going to see panels made with these pretty long scarves that I can get at thrift stores and places like that. I don't pay a lot for anything, you guys. I repurpose everything, so don't think that there's all this money involved and that you don't have the budget to bring hygge into your house, because you probably do. I don't buy anything new. So anyway, I went a little bit crazier with colors and really thought about which colors do I like the best, which ones go together. Fabric, I brought fabrics into my home that I really enjoy. And then something that I've done for many years, but it made more sense to me when I started looking into hygge, is that I absolutely adore plants. And I really, really love anything that hangs from the ceiling. And what I realized is that when things hang from the ceiling in a home, it makes you feel more like you're outdoors. Because think about it, when you're outside in nature, look up. There's stuff above you. There are trees above you and birds and clouds and all that good stuff. And so I realized that having things hanging from my ceilings was very comforting to me. It was very cozy to me. And so I've hung even more stuff from my ceilings. And my house is a little bit crazy and a little bit bohemian, but I absolutely love it. And what I've noticed is that even if people come over who wouldn't necessarily ever want their house to look like mine, what I do find is that they're content while they're here and they feel peaceful while they're here. So mission accomplished. I brought things in like autumn leaves. Love autumn leaves, of course. I purchased some more candles. I found the type of candle that I like best. Or you can do electric candles or battery candles, whatever they're called. Those are pretty cool. And again, I did focus on things that you would normally see outside, like wrought iron, birds' nests, bird houses. I've got a couple of those in my house. Anyway, I'm sure you get the idea. Let's talk for a minute about food. Now, I'm a huge believer in eating in a very, very healthy way. I stay far, far away as much as possible from processed foods because they just don't agree with me. However, having said that, I definitely recommend picking a few things that you truly enjoy and just letting them be a part of winter. All winter long, you better believe I drink a lot of hot cocoa, a lot of it. And I sort of put my own together so that way it's got fewer chemicals, but I'm not going to think twice. If I want a big old mug of hot cocoa, I'm going to have it because it's winter and it's part of hygge. In the winter, I also lean more toward stuff like soup, and I've learned how to make some really good homemade soup or stews. Like I eat more meat and potatoes. I eat a lot more of that kind of thing because it just feels so cozy to me. And I've even made the comment that I feel like I eat like a Viking all winter long now. I'm sure in winter compared to summer, I eat a lot more cheese and just stuff like that. I focus more on protein. So what I'm not saying is just spend winter packing on the pounds, and destroying your heart health. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying cut yourself a break a little bit in the winter. It's all part of learning to enjoy the season and making enough room in winter to actually enjoy the things that it brings that are cozy and good and lovely and beautiful. I highly recommend not slacking off on exercise because, first of all, depression and lack of exercise, I'm sure, are very connected. I know for me that they are. So I'm not saying slack off on exercise, anything like that. What I did at the beginning of this winter is I went ahead and I bought a used treadmill. I love the thing. I absolutely love it. I'm actually one of those weirdos that uses a treadmill. I used to have one, so I knew that I would use it if I got another one, and I have been, and I really like it. Also, if you've got the clothing that you need, go outside. Just get the right clothing so you don't feel like you're going to die while you're out there. Another aspect of hygge is making plenty of time for things like family gatherings and being with friends, etc., etc. And so I don't do just a ton of that because my day job involves so much peopling. There's just so many meetings and things like that when I'm not working, I really do enjoy time alone. But I'm also pretty intentional. If it's been too long and I haven't been out with the girls or I haven't sat at a coffee shop with a friend, then I do try to make sure and go ahead and schedule that. If I get it on the calendar, it will happen. So make sure and schedule things like that. Have people over to your home because that can be super enjoyable. So just make sure that friends and family and being together and maybe playing games and finding things to laugh at or watching movies or making popcorn or cooking pizzas together, make sure that that's part of your winter experience too. And then let's talk for a minute about the pace, about the whole slowing down concept. So many times when it's warm outside, I feel like we just have a lot of options and even responsibilities, like when I was talking about mowing the yard. Well, that's not something, of course, I even can do. And so the overall pace of life in the winter can definitely slow down because you don't have those outdoor responsibilities. Maybe there are sports that you enjoy when it's nice out that don't take place in the dead of winter, of course, which would make sense. And we all know what it feels like for it to start getting dark at 4:10 in the afternoon and you're going, what? Or checking the clock and thinking it's going to say 10 o'clock at night and it says 6:15. And there's something about that whole thing that makes you want to put on your pajamas at 5 o'clock. Well, here's my philosophy. Do it. You want to put on your pajamas at 5 o'clock? Nobody's coming over? Put on your pajamas. Why not? What's it going to hurt? And maybe it will actually help you to just settle in, snuggle in, get your blanket, get your hot cocoa, get your book. Read a book. So let me wind down so I don't overload you. Maybe I'll do another video like this, or feel free to contact me if you have questions about this, because like I said, this was a huge game changer for me. This was really big. I firmly believe that the Lord, as I prayed and asked Him for a solution, I truly believe that the Lord guided me toward this concept, and that for me it was an answer to prayer. It has changed my winters completely, and it's just been such a positive experience that I wanted to make sure and share it with you too. So seek and find the things that make you feel warm, peaceful. Figure out the experiences with friends and family, the fabrics, the colors, the decor, the food, the lighting that you enjoy and that make you feel like you can settle into this season and just enjoy it while it gently passes. So that's where we'll stop for now. Have a wonderful, wonderful, blessed day. Spend some time curled up in your favorite chair with a book and just enjoy the day no matter the temperature, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.